Hello, everyone. I am Fyruz Khan, and today I'm back with a brand new class. So, today is a new batch actually. So, I need to announce the new batch. So, this is Cambridge Business Studies A2. We're starting with chapter 6. So, it's a new batch. Um, let's wait for some students to join, and we should be starting the class very soon. Yeah. And if you haven't liked our Facebook page, please like it right now. There are plenty of videos. You can also subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just type in Fyruz Education Services. We have uploaded more videos last night, so we now have around 55 to 60 videos on our YouTube channel. They're all synchronized, they're all arranged in a certain manner. It's very easy to find them. So, if it's difficult for you to find our videos on Facebook, just go to YouTube and you should get all the videos. It's added on respective playlists, so you should not have a problem. So I think we have few students here. Let's join the class. Let's start the class, and that's how we're going to take it. So look at this picture, and I'm sure you've come across this kind of market, and we find this kind of market in our near our house, grocery stores, local vegetable market. Okay, if you go to America or UK, you will find this kind of local market everywhere. In Bangladesh, you will see people selling vegetables on a van. So those are local market, and these local market, they have a specific target audience. Look at the slides. They have a specific target audience. They welcome the local people, and they have a very well defined, a confined audience. Okay, it's just around the neighborhood. There'll be 100 or 150 people buying vegetables or buying groceries for them. They have a fixed customer. That's what I'm trying to say. A well-defined customer base, and and um, and these are repeat customers, and they will buy goods from that store or from that local market always. Okay. So that's a local business, and their objective is not to expand. So a local business can be a local fruit seller. It can be a local somebody who's selling vegetables on a van. It can be a local market, a local vegetable market, just like this. Um, it can be a local small grocery store near your home. And those businesses are called local businesses because they serve the local audience. They have a well defined customer base, a specific target audience. And their objective is not to expand. They don't want to have three, four stores. They don't want to expand to different cities or different nations. No, they just want to stay there. You will always see your grocery store near your house. They have been, let's say they've been operating for 15, 20 years, and they will not expand. They will not go to different cities. They will not have separate branches, and they will just operate from there. And that is a local business. Now, a bank like EBL, Eastern Bank Limited, they have branches, they have booths, they have branches and offices all over the city, all over the country in different cities. They have branches in Dhaka, they have branches in Kumilla, they have branches in Chittagong, Sylhet, Rajshahi, and so on. Okay, so they have branches or operations in within the country. Okay, and they don't want to expand internationally. They want to stay within the country, within the framework of the country, within different cities. And these kind of businesses are called national businesses. Yes, they are, compare if you compare with local businesses, they are quite big because they have cities, they have branches, they have booths, they have offices all over the city, or all over the country, actually, in different cities. And this is why they are known as national businesses. They are within the country in different cities, right? Um, Here is a wonderful picture. Look at this picture. Yes, I was feeding milk to my daughter, and Yeah, it's a very special picture. I really like this picture a lot, and I've been feeding her, milk since day one, since she was born in this very chair. Um, but my topic is not that. Can you see the trouser that I'm wearing, the pants that I'm wearing. Now it is an Adidas trouser. I really like Adidas. The brand is really good. Now think about a brand like Adidas. They're huge, they're humongous, they're big, right? They have around 1,400 stores around the world, worldwide, 1,400 operating stores. Yes. Uh, so they operate in more than one country. They operate in more than one country, and their objective is to make a lot of profit. The objective is to expand and expansion. Their objective is to take advantage of different countries and increase the sales, maximize it. And these kind of businesses are known as international businesses. So Adidas is an example of an international businesses because they operate in more than one country. Their objective is profit expansion, and they have so many stores, right? So local businesses, we've talked about it. It can be a local vegetable seller in the local market. It can be a flexi loader dokan. It can be a small grocery store just beside your house. That's a local business. They have a very well defined audience. They're confined to just one place, and their objective is not to expand, just to stay there. On the contrary, if you think about national businesses like EBL, they're a lot bigger than local businesses. They have branches all over the country, and that's why they are known as national businesses, right? And they're quite big. And a brand like Adidas, they operate in more than one country, and they may have a lot of stores, they may have a lot of head offices, and their main motive is to make a lot of profit. Their main motive is to expand in different countries and take advantage of it and maximize the revenue, right? So local, national, and international businesses. Now, what are the potential risks of international trade? There are risks. Now, if Adidas comes to our country in Bangladesh, or if Apple comes to our country, we have a lot of international brands like KFC or let's say Nando's. If multinational organizations comes to a country, or international organizations, what is the biggest risk? What is the biggest threat? The biggest threat is there may be a loss of output from domestic firms. So domestic firms may not have so many businesses or so many customers, because now these multinational businesses, these international companies will take over the domestic firms. So there's this threat. The second threat is, there'll be a decline of goods and services, because now you have international companies, international brands, multinational companies. They're more, sometimes they're better, they're more efficient. They produce or they make better quality products. Okay, and there will be a risk of domestic firms going out of business. Uh, their needs and wants, the demand of domestic firms will come down. Okay, so there you go. The third disadvantage is that there may be job losses, because now people will not buy goods and services from domestic firms. They will go to international brands and multinational companies. Okay, and that's how people may lose their job, because now the demand for domestic companies has gone down, because the multinational company has entered the scene, and of course the business will go down, and they will not be able to afford uh, workers. There may be a huge losses of jobs, and factories may be closed, because the demand has gone down, because of the entrance of international companies, multinational companies, like Adidas, or like, let's say, Nando's. Okay. um, and new businesses will find it very difficult to compete with them. Now, if let's say if McDonald's came right now in Bangladesh, a small fast food chains or small fast food restaurants will go out of business because they will not be able to compete with McDonald's. McDonald's has been there for the longest time. McDonald's is so efficient; they have huge amount of money and profit, so it'll be impossible to fight against them, right? So new businesses will find it difficult to compete with big giants like McDonald's. Okay. Um, some importers may dump goods. For example, look at this car, a beautiful car. Um, so, car like, let's talk about other brands. Let's not talk about this first. So, if you buy a Nissan X-Trail, it costs you 50 lakhs. So, this is an SUV kind of vehicle, okay? A mid-size SUV. Now, if you talk about other SUV like Nissan X-Trail, it costs above 50 lakhs, 53, 54. Talk about Toyota Harrier, it costs about 60 to 70 lakhs, right? Then you have Hyundai Santa Fe, which costs around 70 to 75, 60 to 70 lakhs actually. This is a mistake. And then Hyundai Tucson, it costs around 45 lakhs. Now, if you talk about mid-size SUV, these are the good possible options. Now, I think MG came last year. MG means Morrison Garage. That's the full form, and it's a British brand, but it's assembled in China. Now they've entered the Bangladeshi market, and these were the competitors: X-Trail, Harrier, Hyundai Santa Fe, Hyundai Tucson, because these are all mid-size SUV that is currently available in the market. I have an X-Trail, and when they entered the market, MG, interestingly, they priced their product, their car, at 39 lakhs, including registration. Now, how is that possible? And my friend bought it, and I saw it last night, and it's beautiful. The interior is like BMW. I'm not even joking. The back is like Audi. The front looks amazing. It's a beautiful car, and they only charge 39 lakhs, including registration, and you can also get a monthly installment facility from their showroom in Tenchka. That's where they are. And then I thought about it. So they are dumping their price. They're bringing the price below X Trail, below Harrier, below Santa Fe, below Tucson, and they can do it. MG can do it because they have been in the international market for a very long time. MG was used by the royal family before, so they're not an old player. They're not a new player. They are an old player. They have been in the international market for the longest time, and therefore they could bring their prices down substantially, and they intentionally dumped their price below their competitors to gain market share, to gain that attraction, okay, to penetrate into the market. So international brands can dump goods below the cost price just to gain the market share. What MG did was, I think they priced their product at a very at a very lowest range. So international brands like MG can do that, and therefore domestic companies will face a lot of problem. Okay, because they will not be able to compete with a brand like MG. Think about, let's say uh, if we had, let's say, if we had local car companies, then they would not be able to face the competition with MG, because MG has been in the market for such a long time. So and they can price the products at the lowest range. So think about that. Okay. Next up is what do we have? And then you also have to think about, when you are importing products, your imports and exports needs to be balanced. There cannot be an imbalance. If the import is too high, the country will face problem. If the export is too high, again there will be problems. So if you import too much, your costs may go up, and the country may face financial problems, and that's called balance of payment. So you want to make sure that you don't want to import so much. Okay, China did face these problems because they only exported their goods and services for a very long time. Uh, but now they had faced a lot of problem, and they were just dependent on export. They didn't import much goods. So you have to make sure export and imports are balanced. If you just import, it will increase your country's expenditure, because when you import, you have to pay taxes. There are a lot of costs involved, and you're sending money to some other country, so the cost will increase. So think about that. So these are the risks that you have if you do international trade. There will be a loss of output, jobs. Okay, people will be lose jobs. Factories will be closed. Um, and new businesses will not be able to compete with these big brands. And big companies may dump goods below the cost price. They may offer products at a very cheap price, and therefore domestic firms may not be able to compete with those prices. So think about that. And your imports and exports, always they need to be balanced. If you import too much, it will increase the country's expenditure. So think about that. Okay. So free trade. Now let's talk about this free trade. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to take the questions. Okay. To comment on the comment section, and we will take your questions. So free trade means there's no restriction, no trade barrier, nothing. I can do business with India without any barrier, without any tax, without any VAT, without anything. Okay. There'll be no restriction, there'll be no barrier, nothing. So that is a free trade. Now, when I talk about free trade, one thing comes to my mind: Europe. Now, when you think about Europe, you always think about these beautiful sceneries. Europe is beautiful, undoubtedly. Right, Switzerland, Sweden, and Austria, beautiful places. These things come to your mind. Italy. But Europe means more than that. I'll tell you what. So Europe means more than that, because Europe, EU, in the short form, EU consists of these countries: Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Croatia, Republic of Cyprus, and so on. It consists of 27 countries, if I'm not mistaken. So it consists of a lot of countries. So why was EU formed? Let's go back to the root. EU was formed. Why these 27 countries came together? UK was there too, but because of Brexit, UK went out, and they're not a part of EU anymore. Now, why did these 27 countries come together? What is the reason? Okay, let's look at the reason. The reason is free trade, so that you could carry out trade easily without any tax, without any VAT, without any legal paperwork. In short, without any hassle, right? Free trade means movement of products. You can send your products. I can if I have, let's say if I'm an Austrian citizen, I can do business with Belgium. I can send my product. Let's say I'm selling this headphone. I can sell to Belgium without any legal paperwork, without any hassle, without any extra tax, without any extra tariff, without any obstruction. I can sell them easily. And that's why 27 countries came together as EU. It also means free movement of people. Now, if you have an European passport, you can easily go to these countries without any visa. Okay, you can stay there as long as you like. You can do business, you can work there very easily. I've seen my British friends going to Denmark, or going to Italy, and going to Spain and working there without any visa, without any legal paperwork. That's it. You just buy a ticket and go. So when you have a treaty like this, when when all these countries come together, um, then things become easy. The movement of people is easy from one country to the other country. They can work, they can do businesses. You can use the same currency, right? You can sell your products without any tax, without any VAT, without any tariff. So that's why EU was formed. So EU is not just about beautiful sceneries. Europe, it's not just a tourist destination. Whenever you think about EU, Europe means it's a collection of different countries, around 27 countries, and they came together with a purpose. The purpose was to carry on free trade. Free trade means free movement of products from one place to the other without any tax, without any VAT, without any quota, and free movement of people. People can move with the same passport. If you have a passport of from Portugal, it does not matter. You can go to Romania without any visa. You can go to Malta. You, you can go to Hungary, right? So that is free trade. And there are a lot of benefits of free trade. Benefits are you have a wide choice of goods and services because different people, different businesses will come from these countries and you will have a wider choice, right? A wider choice of raw materials, different machines, different products. Okay. Um, uh, and what else? And it also increases competition. And sometimes competition is good. When you have competition from international brands, international franchises, organizations, it's good. It helps the local industry to learn from the multinational companies or from the international companies, and they can increase the standard. So competition in a way is good. Also, think about this. A country cannot produce everything. For example, China is good in tech products, so they can just focus on tech. Now, if they have to make garments, if they have to make clothes, give it to Bangladesh because Bangladesh is the best is one of the best in making garment products, these t-shirts. So for a country, you don't have to focus in all the industries like jute, tech, garments, and this and that. No, if you're good in garments, focus on garments, and you can import tech from China, and China can focus on tech, and they can import garments from Bangladesh. So in this way, countries can specialize in one thing. And when you specialize in just one thing, if you just specialize on garments, or if you specialize on uh, technology, making, let's say, headphones and phones, in that way you can be more efficient, you can be self-sufficient, you can bring the costs down, you can enjoy economies of scale, right? Because your attention is not diverted, you're not doing too many things, you're just doing one thing, which is like focusing on tech or focusing on the garments industry. And and what happens when you're exposed to international products, when you're exposed to international organizations, or when you're exposed to international technology, living standard increases. By increasing of living standard, let me give you an example. Think about smartphones. Okay, now nowadays everybody has smartphones. And think about internet, right? Internet 4G, 5G. Now, if you look at Bangladesh for the last 10 years, Bangladesh has improved remarkably, drastically. There's a drastic change, and they have improved remarkably. And one of the prime reason is because of the exposure of smartphones, because of the exposure of the internet, right? Now, if we go back 10 years, if you just go back 10 years, things were very different. People still didn't know what Zara was, what Topman was, or what Gucci was. It was not like now. But when people had these powerful devices, and these devices were made by international companies and multinational organizations. When they had these devices, they could search Gucci, they could search Prada, they could look for good styles and fashion and furnitures, And then international brands also started offering their products and services online, and now you can buy these products online. It's there within your in just a a finger tap. You can just tap and buy products so easily. So so the living standard has increased remarkably, but 10 years back or 15 years back, it wasn't like this. So when you have international products like a smartphone, or international technology like internet, 4G, LTE, um, the living standard of people will definitely increase. Okay, so these are the benefits of free trade. You have much wider choice, okay, of goods and services. You can import raw materials from different countries, right? And that increases the standard. When you have international companies, you will have competition in the domestic industry as well, and that's good because domestic industry will learn from the international companies, and they will become more competent. They will become strong enough. Okay, and you can specialize. You don't have to produce everything. If you're good with garments, just produce garments. And if you need tech products, get it from China or get it from America, right? And specialization is good. If you just focus on one thing, specialization is good because um, it leads to economies of scale. It'll make you more competent. And when you bring foreign goods and foreign products, it will increase your living standard. Okay, I've given you an example of a smartphone, or the concept of internet, right? Now, look at this picture. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment down on the comment section. The classes are going great. Look at this picture. This is a public university. Okay, public university means it is owned by the government. Now, if you sell this university to me, you're selling it to a private individual. So this university was with the government first, they owned it, and they're selling it to a private individual like me. And this process is known as privatization. Okay. Privatization means selling government businesses, okay, government owned industries to private individuals. Okay. And that process is known as privatization. Okay. And privatization happens anywhere. So let's say this headphone belongs to the government, okay, and you sell it to a private individual like me. When you sell it to a private individual, that process is privatization. Selling state owned industry or organization to private individuals is called privatization. In US, you have more private companies. In US, most of the industries are privatized, and that's known as free market economy. In the UK, you have more public sector organizations, and when you have more public sector organizations, it's known as command economy. Okay, it's regulated, all regulated by the government. And when you have a mix of both public and private, it's mixed economy, right? So US is a good example of privatization. UK is a good example of, I would say, uh, command economy. They have more public sector organizations, and a mix of both is known as public and private. So privatization is, the definition is given here, selling state-owned businesses to the private sector. Okay, and why do you want to do that? Now the question is that why do you want to do that? Okay, so let's have a look. The arguments for privatization. Why do you want to sell a public hospital or a public university to a private organization or to a private individual? The reason is that the private companies are more efficient, right? They have more greater efficiency because a government organization has so many things to do. Government has to look at health sector, education sector, finance sector, road and transport, and therefore they have so much of task. They're not going to be efficient. They're not going to be productive, right? So think about that. Okay, think about that. So that's why you want you want a private company, because private companies are not bureaucratic, they're not slow, they're fast, they hire the best people, they are driven by profit. Just write it down, this is so important. They are driven by profit, they're profit oriented, while public sector organizations are not profit oriented. Okay, they look at the welfare of the people, right? Um, and therefore, government, the decisions that is made by government bodies are slow, and we're not blaming the government, any government. It's slow because they have so much of pressure, they have so many things to do. They have the health sector, they have education sector, they have finance, road and transport. So they have already a lot in the plate. So um, that may be a big problem. Okay, now, privatization, when you have a privatized industry, it is just up to me. I'm not dependent on the government. I don't need so many permissions. I can do anything. So the management literally controls everything. Who works in the organization, the decision making, everything is done by the management. Okay. And in private organization, what happens is that if you fail, stop. That's it, go away, and some other private organization will come in. But what happens with government sector, if you're not doing well, that company will still go on and on and on. Uh, think about there are some public sector companies that are owned by the government, like Teletalk. I'm not saying Teletalk is bad, Teletalk is good, but it is not as competitive as, let's say, Grameen, or let's say Robi, or any other companies, right? Um, but Teletalk did not close. Teletalk is still there. Government will subsidize those businesses. But in private organization, if you're bad, if you're not performing, if the numbers are bad, they will look. Private companies will always focus on profit. They will look at balance sheet. They will look at profit and loss statement. And if the company is not doing well, they'll shut it down. Okay. So yeah, and of course, in government organization, the decisions may be influenced by political reasons. Okay, I'll do this because, let's say, the elections are coming. I will reduce the price of telephones, or of sims, or call rates, or I'll reduce the price of milk because the elections are coming. So it may be driven by political reasons. Okay, so government owned businesses will be influenced by political reasons. And some of the examples, if I give you, Milk Vita is government owned, Teletalk is government owned. Okay, so think about that. So you want to privatize because private organizations are more efficient, they are more capable. Okay, they focus on profit, they will hire the best people, they have a lot of money. Okay, and decision makings in government institutions will be slow because they have so much of responsibility. They have to look at the health sector, education sector. And when you privatize, the everything is based on the management. Okay, and government companies may be influenced by political decisions, and you don't want that, right? And when a government businesses sell to a private businesses, it's good for the government because they're raising money. Now, if I sell this public university to a private individual, then the private individual pay X amount of money to the public university. Let's say the private individual will pay $2 million to buy the public university from the government. This is good for the government because they're raising money and they can use that money in somewhere else, in some other important sectors, right? So in a way, the government is raising money by selling, government-owned businesses. Okay. Uh, so there you go. And what else do we have? So yeah, these are some of the reasons for privatization. I've already talked about this. Okay. Arguments against privatization. The problem with privatization is private companies just focuses on profit, on money. They don't look at welfare. Now, if I have a hospital, now think about private hospitals and public hospitals. I went to a public hospital. I will not name it. It's so cheap, right? And my father stayed there for 18 days. The bill was only 80,000, but if my father stayed in a, let's say, in a private hospital, that bill would be, I don't know, 8 9 lakhs. So private industries, private companies, they only focus on money, they only focus on profit. They don't look at the social objective, the needs of the society. A public hospital will not look at the money, they will look at the welfare of the people, the good being of the people. Okay. um, so yeah and when a if I run a private organization, I'm just thinking about myself, I'm not thinking about the society as a whole, I'm not thinking about my neighbors, I'm not thinking about others, I'm not thinking about other cities, I'm not thinking about the country as a whole. So that's a problem. But when government runs companies, they think about the whole country. Now, if you go to a public university or a public hospital, why is it so cheap? Why is there, if you do a corona test in a public hospital, it may cost you 200 or 300 taka. But if you do a corona test in a private hospital, it may cost you 5,000 taka. Now, why is that so? Because why is it so cheap in public hospitals? Because the government thinks about everyone. Somebody who somebody whose wages are low, government thinks about them. The government thinks about a rickshaw, the government thinks about a cng ala, the government thinks about the local vegetable seller, the government also thinks about us. So the price is really cheap, really 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 affordable, so that everyone can you know um, have access to those services. So think about that, right? Um, so yeah, and when you're a private organization, you're not liable to the government. So that may be a problem. There may be a conflict of interest. You may do something that is wrong, but if it belongs to the government, then there's an accountability. The parliament is accountable. Okay. So yeah, and private companies may also charge a lot. So think about that. Okay. So yeah, these are the arguments against privatization. Okay. So yeah, and when private companies make products, the products are very expensive. Think about that, because they're making in limited quantities. When government will make products in a huge quantity, they will enjoy economies of scale, and they can offer products at a cheaper price. So think about that. So we're done with today. It's 37 minutes. So yeah, uh, so today we've talked about privatization, arguments for and against. We've also talked about free trade. We've talked about different things, potential risks of international businesses, or what is international business, right? If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to comment down on the comment section. We're done. If you haven't liked our page, like it right now. If you haven't subscribed our channel on YouTube, subscribe it right now. We have plenty of videos. Thank you very much. I will see you some other time. Thank you, and I'll be back again. Thank you.